With just 4 rounds to go in the PlayStation 4 and... Not yet? Oh, sorry. With just 4 rounds to go in the PlayStation 4 NPL Northern New South Wales regular season, finals ambitions hinge on every result, and this afternoon is no different. The stakes are high and the room for error is minuscule. The table does not lie. Victory for Hamilton this afternoon and a shot at the minor premiership, which has eluded Michael Bulch and Hamilton Olympic since 2012, is all of a sudden within reach. But defeat and their hopes of making the finals will take a dive. They may not even be in the top 4 by the weekend's end. Margins tight, stakes are high. There really are only 2 sides whose battles over the last 3 seasons have embodied that. Hamilton Olympic and Edgeworth Eagles. This one this afternoon should not disappoint here at Darling Street. It's the 4th place Hamilton Olympic at home to the ladder-leading Edgeworth Eagles. And Chris Turner, these matches always bring out the best in both sides, don't they?
They sure do, Bart. And I'll tell you what I love most about this time of the year is you said before there's no room for error, and there just isn't. Teams that have everything to play for now, whether it's a premiership or top 4 or a place for next year, whatever the case may be, teams are looking to squeeze every ounce out of it. It's the time of the year when you can reflect and think, oh, if that happened, or if that goal went in, or if we saved that, or if it didn't hit the post. All of those things kind of don't matter right now. Now it's about performance. And leading up to the semi-finals, the players will be really excited to put on a good performance. You can see in the warm-up they were pumped to go, Bart, and I can see that even in the tunnel waiting to come out, there's lots of movement. They're jumping around, and the boys are quite excited.
And that's the thing about this time of the season is that victories have there's so much more that hinge on victories and losses, whereas in the mid-season you don't always notice it. Although they do have as much of an impact, you don't notice it 10 rounds ago, do you?
Yeah, you sure don't. And just quickly before we change over to Damien Smith and Damien Zane, yeah, I mentioned it before, this is the time of the year where you reflect on what's happened, but you've also now got to recognise what you've got to do to get yourself either in contention for a premiership or get yourself in the semi-finals. But
well, we're going to head down to Damien Smith. He is down with Edgeworth coach Damien Zane. And we are going to head down there now.
Okay, I have Damien Zane, head coach of Edgeworth Eagles, mate. After a few results yesterday, Lambton dropping points, Valentine dropping points. Great opportunity for Edgeworth today to really cement their spot, push for that premiership.
Yeah, a win will get us enough points to be in the semi-finals, mate. So, yeah, we'll take it after that.
And what are your thoughts on Olympic today? They've quietly just gone about their business of late and picking up points. What are your thoughts on the game?
Oh, they're a dangerous team. I was sort of talking earlier, if, this was a top-of-the-table clash, then, it'd be getting hyped up, and they're sort of gone under the radar, I think, to everyone, but not us. We know they'll be up for it.
All right, mate. All the best, and good luck.
Thanks to Damien Smith there with Damien saying the Eagles coach. Edgeworth have won their last 3 straight. They've lost just 1 of their last 12 matches. Olympic, they've won their last 2 and have lost just once in their last 11. So although Hamilton Olympic haven't seemed as though they've been performing as well as they did last season, those statistics show otherwise, CT.
Yeah, they certainly do, Bart. But I mean, statistics at this time of the year don't mean a whole lot to me. It's all about performance, and I don't want to blow anything out of that context. However, from a footballing point of view, these guys won't be worried about statistics too much. They'll be just worried about getting into the other end of the park and creating opportunities.
Referee this afternoon is James Cleal. A perfect afternoon again. Gee, we've had some good weather in the Hunter of late. It's currently sitting at 17 degrees. The wind just over 10 kilometres an hour from the south. And CT, your favourite stat about the weather is the visibility. How many kilometres do you think the visibility is today?
17 today
14 and a half.
14.
Doesn't normally get over 14, 15.
It's a beautiful day, a beautiful afternoon for football. Surface is looking in very good shape for this time of the year.
And you can probably hear, just to the grandstand to the right of our commentary position, the Sheds, Hamilton Olympic, celebrating a win in the under-20s. Blasting out the team song. 5-1 they won in the under-20s. 6-1 they won in the 18s. Their younger sides are starring this season. So James Cleal, the referee, as I mentioned before. It's Edgeworth in the red from left to right of screen. Hamilton in their blue from right to left. James Cleal gets us underway. Quickly Edgeworth back to Bazaria now. Aaron McLaughlin. They've met twice this season, these two sides. It was 1-1 in round 7. They met in round 5 of the Westfield FFA Cup here at Darling Street on a cold Wednesday night. And on that occasion, Edgeworth won 4-2. Kieran Sanders scored a hat-trick. Can Kieran Sanders put on another show this afternoon, CT?
I think that he can. He seems to me like he's a player that stands up for the big games, and he's got all the attributes to put out a good performance every week as he gets onto the ball right now. I'm expecting a big game from him this afternoon.
Well, here he is, Kieran Sanders. Damien Zane said he signed him so he could play at Darling Street. He said he's a real asset on this smaller pitch. Here's Kieran Sanders. Tom Davies across to Daniel Bird.
And also at Maitland as well. There's always a tough physical game up at Maitland.
And they haven't lost at either of those two grounds this season. They haven't lost here at Darling Street or Cook Square Park. That win a couple of weeks ago. Last weekend, Edgeworth, they got the job done 4-1 over the Jets youth at Jack McLaughlin Oval. 4 different goal scorers for them. And for Hamilton, another late show from them. They scored a couple in the last 20 minutes as Nate Cavalier takes that one nicely. They scored twice in the final 20 minutes to win that one 2-1. The same thing happened the week before that against the Jets youth. 2 second-half goals to win that one 2-1. And a similar thing happened the week before here in the match of the round against Maitland. They were down 2-0 going into the last 12 minutes and scored twice to draw that one 2-2. And one of the stars of that match, Sean Prato, scored on the volley to make it 2-2. He's not here in the side this afternoon, Damien Smith.
Yeah, I have no idea why, Bart, but yeah, I've just seen this team sheet just then. There's been a few changes to Olympic over the past few weeks, so it's good to see Bolch showing a bit of variation to his formation as well as players in his squad, a little bit of rotation of players. So
Dylan Holtz goes over the top and tries to find Sanders.
Just on your point earlier, Bart, today Olympic can't afford to be 2 down or 1-0 down or coming from behind that last 15 minutes because, as you know, Edgeworth are lethal in their last 15 minutes.
Well, Hamilton have scored the most goals in the last 15 minutes of any side this season. 10 goals they have scored. I did a little expose into that in my preview this week. And someone else decided that they would have a look at those statistics as well this week. So here's Daniel McBrain going wide for Dylan Holtz. Down the edge of the 18-yard box. Now to McBrain. Kyle Hodges. Now Tom Davies.
You know we love our statistics. So what did they say this week?
The statistics this week said that Edgeworth don't concede in the last 15 minutes and Olympic have scored 10. So that says enough about Olympic's ability in the final 15. Edgeworth have only scored 4 in the final 15. So we'll have to wait and see until that period of the match. But as Damien... Well, actually, I'll just turn those stats on their head for a moment. In all matches, competitive matches Edgeworth have played this year, they've only conceded 1 goal in the last 15. That was actually here against Olympic in the FFA Cup. Scott Smith scored a goal down the opposite end of the ground to make it 3-2 in that particular match. And Kigo Moriyasu, who's not in the side this afternoon for Edgeworth, scored a minute later to make it 4-2 as Bazari tries to find Josh Evans. Here's McBrain.
Yeah, but I think the difference this year is that Edgeworth are normally ahead in that last 15 and they just close out the games perfectly. So,
and it's been something over the last 2 seasons that they've been so good in that final 15. Damien Zane prides his side on it. They're sitting.
Yeah, they're mentally just very tough. They all just focus on their job for the 90 minutes. Hence the goal in the 90th minute against Maitland 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and after Lambton's result yesterday, a 2-2 draw with Charlestown, they are now level on points with Edgeworth, but Edgeworth is still first with 2 games now in hand on Lambton. So the minor premiership, you could say now for Edgeworth, is theirs to lose. They're on 33 points up the top. Olympic are on 28 points. This is the surprising thing, is that as much as we've said Hamilton Olympic have struggled and they've spluttered and they haven't been at their best the last few weeks, I said to CT just before the match, Smudge, that Olympic have only lost 1 of their last 11, and a win this afternoon, and they're 2 points from top spot as Reece Cooper takes off. There's Kane Goodchild in the middle, still with Reece Cooper across the face, and Hayden Bryce did well to scoop it away as Reece Pappas was arriving at the back post. Scott Smith on the bench for Olympic this afternoon. So interesting move there. Reece Cooper playing in the front line for Olympic.
Obviously, Bolts wants to change it up a little bit. They've been a bit...
Bird to the middle.
Oh.
Now Bazzari across the face. Can Brown scoop it in? Here's Goodchild. He's offside. Up goes the flag. Well, what an important goal that would have been for Olympic.
Well, I'll be disappointed that didn't go in, but I tell you what, for their confidence, it's a big thing because they've just got themselves into the top third of Edgeworth, and now we're penetrating particularly well, and a couple of good opportunities there.
It's Kieran Sanders gets away from Duncan and tries to find Keanu Moore.
See the way Kieran Sanders used his body there, just the way he turned Duncan. He's a very, very good player.
Well, here's that chance. So Goodchild, it's hard to tell from this angle. Great pictures from the Bar TV cameras, but yeah, Goodchild just offside, according to the linesman on the far side. Wasn't a great day for referees yesterday. They copped a battering in both the Lambton Jaffers Charlestown game and Valentine against the Jets. Valentine against Maitland, I should say. Bazzari goes back to Nate Cavalier. Some controversial decisions in both of those 2-2 draws, and really not the results that Lambton, Valentine or Maitland would have liked. And another match on this afternoon, as well as this one. Adamstown up against Broadmeadow Magic. Now, this is intriguing because Nick Webb was at Magic at the start of the year. He was the assistant coach to Ruben Zadkovic and then left because of work commitments, and now is the coach of Adamstown. So a little bit of an intriguing side note to that contest.
Yeah, talking to Nick Webb during the week, he wants a good performance from his boys. He thought last week they were very flat against Lake Macquarie after stealing the win against Valentine the week before. So they know it's going to be a difficult campaign. They've got a few players out. I know Justin Tannock's out.
Alex Reid is out as well.
Yeah.
So's Dane Paulick, I'm pretty sure. So they're light on troops, Adamstown.
Where if you look at Meadow, they've got Josh Pennington out.
Here is Sanders getting a touch on.
But they're virtually full strength and with a lot of confidence at the moment. So
you just cannot see Adamstown winning there, can you? You just, with those 3 players out, 3 of their most experienced players, that would be the upset of the season if they managed to take a point or even 3 from Magic Park.
Yeah, me personally, I can't see it today.
Look, I can't see it either, and you take, Reid at one end and Tannock at the other end, and as you say, Bart, a lot of experience between that pair. And
now, I know we don't promote gambling here, but what would have been the odds for Magic? Did either of you two see the odds for them?
No, but I'm guessing it would be about $1.36.
Okay, I thought it would be even lower than that.
I know we don't promote gambling, but a guy I know had a small little wager yesterday on a multi on the 3 NPL games and got it. So
well done to him.
Nice return.
Rolling in it today, is he? Here's Nate Cavalier.
I know someone else that had a lazy $10 on the draw between Charlestown and Lambton.
Gee, there you go.
How much did you win?
It paid $4.20, so $42.
Here's Aaron McLaughlin. And Marcus Duncan. CT speaking in first person there as Reece Cooper. Sorry, third person.
Yes. About talking to people, Smudge, you've had a couple of conversations with Damien Zane over, well, today at least, and also over the last couple of days. How do you describe his mood at the moment? Like, is he? Is he?
Oh, he's
you know,
pumped.
when I'm
Yeah,
saying that,
no.
I'm saying.
You know what he is? He's very excited about the FFA Cup coming around. Him and Warren Mills went and watched South Melbourne play
on Friday night against the Melbourne Knights. They did.
Yeah. He said he was very impressed with South Melbourne. However, you know what? He backs himself. He backs the side, and he thinks he can do a job live on TV.
Well, that should be a cracking match too.
It's one for all of us Novocastrians to look forward to, that's for sure. But you know what? He does do this well. He gives his players confidence. And if you can do that, you know, you're not going to get overawed, and you'll go out there giving it your best opportunity.
And they've got I was just going to say, they've got the Fox Sports lineup for that match. So they've got Brenton Speed on the mic, so it doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah, Edgeworth are very excited about that game. But also, this is interesting.
Here's Swan looking for his brother and finds the first national sign on the far side of the ground.
George Rafferty.
There he is. I think it hit George on the head there.
I think he's holidaying in Greece at the moment, the old Georgie Rafferty. He's sold thousands of properties around Merewether and Newcastle over the past 12 months.
He has, and I'll just give him a quick wrap. I left a message for him about 2 weeks ago, and he rang me from Greece to return the call. That's the sort of guy he is.
That's right. Always on the job, the old George.
Always.
But just going back to Damien Zane, I spoke to him after the result yesterday with Lambton and Valentine dropping points, and obviously he's very excited. And you know what? There's less pressure on Edgeworth winning today. If
Sanders beats Davies, and then the header from Hodges fortuitously into the waiting arms of Tyler Warren, who has been so impressive since coming into the top job, the goalkeeping role after Danny Ireland has been forced out with illness for the back end of the season. Bird across the face, and Evans with the header away. Here's Swan across to Davies. And now good child. CT will be able to explain in just a second what we are witnessing in front of us. Aside from Africa coming to watch this afternoon, Reece Pappas. Well, it was visions of Jalen Brown yesterday, and it'll just be a goal kick. CT, do you want to explain these young men who have come over from Africa to Australia for a tour?
Yeah, sure do. I just want to touch on that strike from Pappas. That's the sort of thing we're expecting from him, and he's such an exciting player. And what a strike. That could have just changed the game. Now, these players here that we can hear on our right-hand side, they're from South Africa. They're here touring, and they're playing matches over the next 10 or so days in Newcastle, including Jets Youth. I think they're in the age groups about the under-14s and under-16s. There's a couple slightly older, maybe. And this singing, I'm told, by the officials, who, by the way, Damien Smith and I have both coaching Greg Lowe.
Yes.
He lives in South Africa now. He said this singing is a part of their cultural activity. And I did ask him about it. He said it's a way when they're feeling a little bit, and South African, if anyone wants to correct me on this, but just taking it second hand, that when they are settling in, it's just to announce their presence, and also it gives them a bit of confidence when they're a little bit unsure. So in numbers, they feel feeling safe.
You know, it was very soothing, wasn't it? With them, very harmonious and soothing when they were singing Walking Past.
Have to say, caught up with them yesterday morning, and they're harmonious. And the amount of different tunes that they're out with, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, great to see as Tom Davies is brought to ground by Dylan Holtz, and out comes the first yellow card of the afternoon for Holtz. And we mentioned, I know last year this game in round 14, Hamilton won 3-1 against Edgeworth last year. I actually wasn't here, but I saw the photos on Twitter and I felt the atmosphere about the match. There was a really good feel about the Hamilton-Edgeworth match in round 14 last year. You two will probably be able to touch on it a bit more, but the crowd this afternoon is pretty strong again.
Yeah, sure is. And you look across the grandstand here, and you know there's a lot of people in here. And
Duncan forward and Evans away.
This ground, and we've said it before, we love calling from here because you get in right amongst the crowd and the noise, and when
you feel it.
Yeah, you sure do. And he just felt that, Swanee.
Swan almost injures himself on the bench there. They are very close to the ground, and Swan going flying into the Edgeworth dugout as Daniel Bird charges after this one.
But whenever the big three teams are playing against each other, Magic, Olympic and Edgeworth, there's always a decent crowd in. It's always going to be a good game. There's always rivalry between the two sides, or the three sides. So.
And probably more so between these two sides over the last 2 and a bit seasons. You could almost say 3 seasons as Kyle Hodges.
Yeah, good challenge.
Hodges, he can't. Well, here's Sanders and Hodges. Thought it would be he's going to get a little.
He loves it, Sanders, doesn't he?
Feisty there,
yeah,
but
he loves it.
They hugged it out in the end.
Yeah, he's built for this.
And I'll tell you the other one, that when we were here last at this ground with this contest, was Scott Smith, and he certainly, when he scored, he came and let the crowd know about it, and then they ended up losing that match from memory.
Yeah,
so he'll have a score to settle today.
Yeah, and Scott Smith going to Charlestown, of course, next year, but he's not out there this afternoon in the starting side. Well, if he does, it'll be an impact off the bench from him. He scored twice in the last match against Edgeworth as Cooper chips forward. Good child. Was there a handball there? I felt there was from Good Child.
The hand of Good Child.
Seen that before.
Diego Good Child. Here we go.
Just on Hamilton, I've been impressed the way they've started this game. They've soaked up a little bit of pressure early on. Their shape is really well balanced at the moment. As you know, CT, I like me 5-3-2s. More so than like a 3-4-3 or whatever.
And it's interesting you say 5-3-2 because a lot of coaches will say that because that left and right fullback, that gives them the mindset they're not wingers. They've actually got a defensive job to do, and I'm pretty sure that's the way Michael Bolch would have said would have spoken about his team. Would that be right, Smudge?
You're exactly right. And when I was playing the 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2, depending on how you write on the whiteboard, it's depending on how players actually line up.
Exactly.
It's Cooper wide to Bird, so that's interesting. Is Bird infield to Cavalier. So it's basically the way they perceive it. So if you say we're playing 3 at the back, the players go into the game with the mindset, okay, I'm an attacking player. You go in and say, well, we're going to play a 5-3-2 today. All of a sudden they're thinking, yeah, I'm a more defensive-minded player today.
And if you look at McBreen. McBreen's pushed out wide. You've got Grant Brown who's playing on the left-hand side, left wing-back, sort of dropping deep into like a left full-back role. It's
Keanu Moore back to McBreen, who scored just his 2nd goal of the season last weekend. And it was similar last season. He went on a run late on. He scored 10 goals in 2016 and a few in the finals, 2 in the grand final.
So I also think it's important you've got Goodchild and Reece Cooper up front, which is a great combination. But I think either Reece Cooper or Goodchild need to drop in and help Pappas in the 10 as well. Just to drop in those pockets, they'll get space, they'll be able to turn and then go at the 4.
So here is Matt Swan. Going back to Andrew Swan.
Yeah, the two Swans playing in the 6 and 8 role today.
Haven't played together too often this season. They've both been injured at different times. And Marcus Duncan plays it straight to Bazari, who quickly looks forward for Keanu Moore. And
See the transition from Edgeworth, that's what they're good at. He gets a touch forward and plays it forward nice and early.
I think Keanu Moore was waiting for the bounce there and just skidded low and under as Hamilton with the free kick. So almost 18 minutes gone, still 0-0. Hamilton, you'll probably say, just slightly with the better of the chances. We had that offside where Goodchild tapped it home, but apart from that, it's probably been the closest we've come to a goal thus far. Daniel Bird into the middle. Reece Cooper on the half bicycle, you could probably call that.
Good effort. It was hard for him. It was like about a yard behind him, so yeah, good effort by Reece Cooper. Better play by Olympic. Good play through the midfield, get it wide to Bird for a nice cross.
Josh Evans made to backtrack. So Smudge, you're getting your scores from the Magic Adamstown match. Have you got any updates from Magic Park as of yet?
I have got a contact out there, as you know, Bart, and they're going to keep me informed. So haven't heard anything yet. So it must be 0-0. And on my little scoreboard here it says 0-0, but sometimes that's wrong.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, so I've got a little friend out there giving me updates once there's goals.
Here's Swan to Pappas, and now for McLaughlin.
As it turns out, I've got a backup in doing the same thing. Mark Midson from the Arnett's program is going to give us some updates, boys. So I'm pretty sure we'll be loaded up with what's happening over at Magic Park.
Here's Kyle Hodges going in, and he wins the free kick as he's pulled to ground. But what have you made of the opening 19 and a bit minutes, CT?
I've just been impressed on the outset with Olympic. I think the change of their setup seems to be working for them on this ground, and they're keeping things nice and compact in defence and getting their back four or five in play. So that's really good defensively for them. Edgeworth have started typically in a very organised fashion. So this one has seen a couple of opportunities already for Olympic.
And the intensity is pretty high, isn't it? Already is.
There's a lot at stake, but there's a team playing for the premiership. If Edgeworth win today, I reckon they're virtually signed off with the premiership. With a game in hand, 3 points ahead, and they've got a good run at home.
Do you think if Olympic win this afternoon, they can win the minor premiership smudge? I know mathematically they can, but do you think they'll be able to if they win this afternoon?
I'm going to say no. I think it's in Edgeworth's hands, and Edgeworth are going to be very hard to beat. They've got a favourable draw on the way home as well.
Olympic play Western next weekend. They play Valentine here in 2 weekends. That match could be huge in the race for the top 4. Just speaking on Valentine, of course, they had a draw yesterday against Maitland. Do you think things look better for them because they've played those extra matches? So they're actually higher up the ladder because they've played those more matches. So when the Olympics and the Magics play as many matches as Valentine, it's going to be a lot closer than what it sort of seems at the moment.
Yeah, I think next year they have to revisit this draw. I think for a draw you should get 3 points. So the table's always real. So
for the bye, you mean?
Yeah.
For the bye.
Sorry, for the bye.
Yep.
What did I say for?
For the draw.
Oh, for the draw.
I was thinking, what's going on for the draw?
Sorry.
3 points.
Yeah, sorry for the bye. Sorry for that. Because then the table's always real.
Yep.
At the moment, it's still hard to judge.
Yeah, very much so. There's Holt's infield for Sanders, but you still get that issue even giving the 3 points because there's sides that have got the 3 points, and yeah, it's a real tough one. As you really don't want to buy, do you? As McLaughlin.
No, just bring an extra team in the comp.
Kahiba CT. Are we getting on the Kahiba bandwagon?
Yeah.
They're doing very well in the new FM, as are Cooks Hill at the moment. So Cooks Hill are pushing, but based on the way I understand it, I think they'll have to wait a couple of seasons before they can stake their claim for a spot in the top grade.
Just on Olympic, I mentioned it before with Goodchild and Reece Cooper. I would like to see at least one of them just drop a little bit deeper instead of saying high all the time. When you're playing too high all the time, it's easy pickings the mark. That's better.
Goodchild threads it through. Matt Swan. Whitey goes for Reece Pappas. Our first look at him on the Bar TV match of the round. Grant Brown tries to reel it in, and Brodie Taylor, who has had a great run of late, he scored in his last 3 matches. And
good job.
Didn't have his best moment there as Aiden Bryce gets a boot in. He's scored 4 in his last 5, Brodie Taylor, and in his last 3 as well. So, yeah, a hot run of form he's in currently. As are his side as well. This is the startling stat. 8th in April, 1st in July. Edgeworth. So within the space of 3 months, they've gone from being close to the bottom to the top of the pile as Kyle Hodges.
And talking to Zane yesterday, they haven't even clicked into gear. He said they're starting to snowball. They're getting better and better and better. All their players are fit.
And do you think it's because they started the season... they started their pre-season a lot later than other sides. Other sides were starting in November last year. Edgeworth started a whole lot later. I think maybe earlier in this year, maybe.
And I think that's
January.
I think it was part of Magic's form. They were training 4 nights a week late last year, and they started really flat, the competition. And now they're sort of freshened up, and they're coming...
It's Cooper, Cavalier. Edgeworth get out of a pickle, and it was a bit of a pickle there. McLaughlin over the top for McBrain, who brings the ball down expertly and quickly rolls it to Sanders, and Sanders not quite sure what he was trying to do there, whether he was in 2 minds. Marcus Duncan. Yeah, Magic Ruben Zadkovic, when I was chatting to him a couple of weeks ago, he said that they had a week where they took it a little bit lighter, and since then they've performed really well. So maybe that little break was just what they needed. Hamilton with the free kick.
The other thing about Edgeworth, we were talking about them before, a bit of a slow start to the season. Well, let's have a look and see what happened to them at the end of last year. They went on, won the premiership, then they won the grand final, and then they've gone into the depths of the FFA Cup. So their season went for a long, long time last year, and so to actually get a rest physically and mentally is something they probably need to do, and maybe that's a contributing factor to them getting off to a slower start than what we'd expected.
They had a few injuries at the start of the season as well, and Sanders was out for the first 3 or 4 weeks due to his suspension at North Queensland last year.
Yeah, that was an interesting little conundrum for Kieran Sanders and Edgeworth at the beginning of the year. Played in the grand final, scored a couple of goals in Far North Queensland Heat's defeat, and then missed the first few matches of Edgeworth's season this year.
Edgeworth's defence is very deep here, a lot of space in midfield.
Davies now to Swan. Now to Bird. It's been mainly Olympic on the ball. They win the free kick. Smudge, really, it has been all Olympic on the ball the last 15 minutes or so.
But also Edgeworth's defence has been rock solid. But I've been impressed with Olympic shape, actually, their formation. I think for Olympic today, they need to be very disciplined in defence, especially those three centre in Tom Davies, Marcus Duncan and Cole Hodges. If they hold their line, they're going to be hard to break down. Once they start breaking that line, that's when Edgeworth will get their forward runners in beyond and cause a few problems. But yeah, I've been impressed with Olympic.
We know Reece Pappas can hit a free kick, but it isn't on the non-preferred side for the right footer, so he curls it into... Oh, it's good, Joel. Was it a handball from Evans? And James Cleal, he is going to point to the spot. Well, that's good refereeing from the man in the middle. I'm not quite sure whether he got a tip-off from his assistant referee. Josh Evans, I'm not quite sure what he was doing there. It was as clear as day that he got his arm to it. And a real shock here, because Kane Goodchild is going to step up. He hasn't had a great run of late as Goodchild. He's only scored once in his last 4 matches, and that was a penalty last weekend. So he's looking for his second penalty in a week. Kane Goodchild steps up, straight down the middle, no mistake from the veteran Olympic. Hang on a second, is he awarded the goal? So someone has encroached here. So Goodchild's going to have to go again. So the temperature, the drama, just turned up a little bit here.
Here's what you don't like, is you've just scored your penalty, you've done your job, and now you've got to think about, do I go the same way, different direction? Let's see.
Well, here he is, take 2. Goodchild, Cavalier gets an arm to it, and it finds its way in. So Goodchild, he scores 2 penalties. Make it 3 in a week there. He did well, and Olympic are out to a 1-0 advantage. And a huge goal in the context of the match, and you can't say they don't deserve it, Olympic.
I was going to say Olympic deserve to be in the lead. I think they've had the lion's share of possession at the moment. They look very good, but full credit to James Cleal with the refereeing decision.
Yeah,
full credit. That was a great decision.
Totally agree. It's kind of like, I'm not sure if he actually got it or not when it happened, but he was able to change his mind, and that's the ability of a good referee, to change your mind.
And from our point of view and all the crowd's point of view, it looked like a clear handball. So,
absolutely.
And obviously he must have just missed it.
Here's McBrain quickly onto Sanders. Can they come back with a quick reply? He just slices it wide, and that's what Edgeworth can do.
The only reason I would see, boys, to put your hand out like that and get deliberate handball is if you think someone's directly behind you, going to tap it in.
They won both matches against Edgeworth last season, did Hamilton Olympic in the regular season. 3-2 in round 4. Round 5, I should say, and 3-1 in round 14. Haven't won the last 2, Edgeworth with the win in the FFA Cup, and it was 1-1 in round 7. And in that match, it was Matt Swan and Hamilton Olympic who opened the scoring. Here's Tyler Warren. And Goodchild's first goal against Edgeworth since last year. Hadn't scored in the previous matches in 2017. Doesn't happen too often that Edgeworth have to fight from behind. They will have to do that this afternoon. Grant Brown. Quickly down the line for Cooper. Now Evans calls it down the line. And now Swan.
You know what? Olympics looking really well balanced at the moment. Hey, CT.
Yeah, this is the best they've looked all
Yeah,
season.
their shape. I really like their shape at the moment. And they've got the two Swan boys who are experienced. They're just sitting in the centre, just clogging up the centre of the park, which is hard to get through, especially with Edgeworth playing a really tight diamond. I think Edgeworth need to start playing with a bit more width and start to spread Olympics midfield and defence.
What I like about the two Swan brothers is that they're both physically, they're both very present, and they tackle well, and their distribution's good. So if they can, you use the word clog, they do that really well, but their distribution is very good also. So these guys are actually doing a great job here at the moment.
Positional play again for Matt Swan or Andrew. Matt or Andrew Swan. I was not sure.
Just go on number 7 or 9.
Here's Brown. Saved Olympic in consecutive weeks in round 9 and 10 with some couple of great strikes. We're down 1-0 in the last 10. He makes up for 2 of those goals as Keanu Moore goes in. 2 of those goals that Olympic have scored in the final 15 this season. McBrain now for Taylor. Looking for Keanu Moore. And now Aiden Price and McBrain.
Matt and Andrew Swan just need to be careful they don't run out away from the 6 and 8 position, because that's where they'll leave holes for that diamond shape, especially McBrain in the centre of the park. If he gets a bit of space, he could really thread the ball through Keanu Moore or Sanders.
What they've done well so far is they've been balanced, so one goes and one sits, so they just don't want to go at the same time, because that's when you're leaving you.
Good job. Back heel to Swan, and his touch is a little heavy. What an opportunity that was for Hamilton Olympic. And Damien Zane said before this match, he said Olympic have flown under the radar, and everyone's saying they've had some issues, but he said they're fine. They've lost just 1 of their last 11. And they've turned up. They've
had a few Houdini acts as well.
Made no secret at the beginning of the year, boys, that the Olympic for me were the team to beat. But they just got off to a slow start, didn't they?
You said they were going to win the premiership, didn't you, CT?
Absolutely, yeah. They were my pick, and I'd been a little bit surprised that they hadn't gone on with it.
Reece Pappas, here's Duncan with the header.
Well, they're not out of not winning the premiership.
Well, that's what I said. I think they're... Now with this goal lead, I know it's early days.
Long way to go, Bart. Don't talk too early, mate.
I know, but a win for Olympic this afternoon, if they don't win, it's off. There's no chance it's going to happen. But if they win this afternoon, don't write them off for the minor premiership. It would be incredible if that happened, wouldn't it, Smudge? Because the last 2 seasons, Edgeworth have snatched the minor premiership from Olympic in probably the last part of the season. And this season, the 1 year where no one expected Olympic to be up as high as that, they may just well be, though. They are at the moment on the live ladder.
Sorry.
One of the keys when we're talking about Olympic in their shape is their defence, and in the middle of the defence is Kyle Hodges, who I've been watching all game, where he just has not shut up. He's directed the traffic. He's made sure he's left and right fullbacks, as we're calling them, are where they should be when they need to be, and he's also giving himself some space off the attack, particularly off Sanders when he's got players running at their back line. So he's been a real key, and I like the way that he leads his team and the way that he's actually ability to read the play.
And the other thing is he's holding his line. Sometimes he tends to drift with the striker into the midfield. He's holding his line, which with the back 3 you need to hold your line, otherwise there's gaps everywhere. He's been superb at the back, just marshalling at the back, isn't he? His leadership's been superb.
And almost on the contrast of that, at times I've seen him drop off to just give himself an extra couple of metres so that he doesn't get caught flat back line.
Here's McBrain over the top for Sanders, and Tom Davies blocks off him very expertly there. Now, Olympics record at home, this is incredible. They've lost just 4 of their last 43 regular season matches here at Darling Street Oval.
Yeah, that's quite amazing, isn't it?
2014, 15 and 16, they've averaged more than 2 points per game at home.
And that's what we talk about Olympic. They love this ground. It's nice and tight, they're compact, they train on it, so they're very aware of it. Where most other sides play on a bigger pitch. So they're used to, they play like a second phase play. They get the ball up to the strikers, knock it back.
And there's Bird over the top for Cooper. And actually, if they do go down this afternoon, Olympic, they could be on track for their worst home record since Mick Bolch arrived at the club. That's an average of under 1.2 goals per game at home. So it just shows you how high the bar has been set for Olympic at home under Michael Bolch.
So for me, for Edgeworth, if I was Damien Zane, I'd start to look at the plays, getting a bit wider and wider, like McLaughlin and Bryce. Need to get a bit higher and wider. It's too tight.
McBrain brings it down and sends Sanders away.
Green, to me, looks a little bit frustrated. That he's just, his body language seems a little bit frustrated because he can't get enough room on the ball.
No room.
And he's not getting the football. And that's got a lot to do with the Swan brothers playing in those holding sort of roles.
So they're playing a tight 4 diamond, and Olympics playing 5 across the middle. So if they tuck in, there's 9 players in the centre of the park. It's too tight.
Yeah, and the 5v4.
Here's the long throw from Bryce, and Swan away. They can't afford to concede here, Olympic, because they've been so strong. They've been by far and away the better side this afternoon. 35 minutes played.
But what
Edgeworth
do,
have barely created a chance, have they?
Yeah, but what they do, they just grind their way into the game. And they play for the 90 minutes. You can't discount Edgeworth.
Yeah, not a chance. And Zane's got the ability to readjust things, at half-time or even as the game goes on.
I agree with that.
Here's Brodie Taylor looking for a 1-2 with Holtz and just couldn't get the contact. Bring the ball under his control. McBrain tries his luck. Just over the bar.
But what I like, you get Daniel Bird, Grant Brown playing those wing-back roles, playing a little bit deeper, which is good. When they haven't got the ball, when they're defending, they tuck right in. It is so clogged in the centre of the park, and there's no space for Edgeworth's creative plays, like McBrain. But when they got the ball, they're high and wide. They spread the game, and they're looking very well balanced. And as you know, CT, I love my 5-3-2 formation. It's so flexible. If you're under the pump, you play 5 at the back. If you're on top, you play 4 up front.
Yeah, and I've been the same, and I've always worked on having one of them always in attack. So one sitting, one in attack. And the one that's sitting potentially can go into a sweeping position if required.
Here's Holtz. Just fades inside the near post.
And the thing with the shape, it's essential that you would talk about the pendulum, your left and right.
Correct.
Now, CT, I've just got a text from one of my mates, Declan Payne, who was on the sideline during the week for the Western Jets game that we did when you two couldn't come up. It was a bit cold at Western. He said Broadmeadow are paying $1.33. You were 3 cents off. There you go.
Sorry,
you're good.
Declan.
You are good.
Sorry, Declan. I was just maybe Tab Bet need to adjust their odds by 3 cents. No, just joking.
There's this one over the touchline, and I've got to announce that as McBrain pushes forward, that we won't be doing the Jets games for the next 2 against Olympic and Magic. Some issues with FFA regulations with streaming games and that sort of thing, so it's a bit unfortunate, but it's the way it goes sometimes.
That's such a shame, boys. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, so was I. I've just noticed in the last 2 or 3 minutes, Edgeworth's just starting to pick up the tempo.
They are. They're just coming.
Just starting to pick up the tempo. Zane's got 3 fresh subs in Will Bauer, Brent Hamill and Adam Cawley, who are all very good players. So
they're just like a python, aren't they? Slowly coming towards their prey here, Smudge.
And
then they're going to strike. So the score at Magic Park, Broadmeadow lead, and Broadmeadow and Adamstown at 0-0. I'll tell you what, I'm surprised based on paper, Broadmeadow, but we know the matches aren't played on paper, as we found out on Wednesday night in State of Origin. But
I did get a text, Barton. It's supposed to be all Broadmeadow, just can't score.
Here's Sanders, whips it in, and they almost found the equaliser there, Edgeworth. But that was the same thing that happened on Anzac Day, Smudge. It was all Broadmeadow and they couldn't score.
You know, the difference is the way they're playing. Remember Anzac Day, I think Josh Pennington and Scott Robinson at the 2 stoppers probably had about, 50, 60 passes between them. They just never played the ball forward. Where now they're transitioning and playing the ball a lot quicker forward. And they're better well balanced, especially with Oxborough in the side.
I'll tell you what, if there's one match, I know there's been some matches that we'll remember out of this season, plenty to go as well. That's one that will stand out for me this year. Anzac Day, wasn't it a great day? And just with the drama with everything, Ruben having a chat post-match. He wasn't too happy with the performance and let his frustrations known. He wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he, Ruben Zadkovic? As here is Josh Evans. And it was just, it gave, as Brodie Taylor is able to run this one down inside the line, as Grant Brown back to Marcus Duncan. Now for Swan.
Oh, he's done very well,
but
Swan.
just gave a bit of media exposure to the whole thing. We're the only local competition. It was the only local competition to play on Anzac Day. And a great vibe about the game as well.
I thought it was a great initiative. I thought it was great. Great day. Beautiful afternoon. Good atmosphere.
The post-match drama.
They're very compact here. They need width, Edgeworth.
Grant Brown to Goodchild now.
For me, Edgeworth's playing too much through the centre. It's just too crowded.
Sanders. One man that was at the heart of everything Hamilton's done the last few seasons, Jacob Bailey, out this year with an ACL injury. I was wondering if either of you two, as Keanu Moore cops that one in the head, either of you two heard if he's going with Michael Bulch to Maitland next year, if he does come back?
Well, I seen him in the crowd. We could ask him at half time.
Get the scoop.
I haven't heard, and I'm in fact not exactly sure how he is and how his injuries come through.
Because ACLs, it is very, very tough. Cale Bradbury with the goal for Broadmeadow Magic, and they lead Adamstown by a goal to 0. So, yeah, it was coming. Aiden Bryce. Here's a little trick shot from Edgeworth. Evans across the face, and may have hit Marcus Duncan there on the knees. Reeled out of it.
That was well done by Goodchild.
Goodchild away from Bryce. Trying to use his body, and the throw goes against him. Quickly, Edgeworth will look to counter. That breaks down. Grant Brown back to Duncan. Josh Evans gets his boot in front of Reese Cooper. Duncan above Sanders now, and Goodchild unable to keep the ball inside the line. Bryce, a long throw to Pat Wheeler. Been so strong at the back for Edgeworth this year is Pat Wheeler, and now Holtz.
Guys, just in the last few minutes I noticed Olympics defence is just dropping a little bit deeper, which is starting to cause a bit of space in the midfield for the Edgeworth midfielders.
Sanders with a neat back heel. Can McLaughlin outpace Davies?
Yeah, good challenge.
Well, it was toe-to-toe, but McLaughlin just run down by Davies, but it will be the next best option, a corner.
Hamilton Olympic have looked very organised in their defence, and having the numbers in there like they have has made it difficult for Edgeworth, but even though they still look threatening.
So here is Kieran Sanders curling it in. Hamilton diffuse it pretty well. Brodie Taylor quickly back on the ball. Pappas can get away, just here's the throw. So here is a chance. Reese Cooper in the middle of the park. The throw just a little long for Matt Swan to track down. And Bird goes back to Pappas. And Aiden Bryce, strong in the air. Here's Goodchild. So a tight match. Limited opportunities for both sides, and it shows on the scoreboard.
Yeah, both sides very cautious, aren't they?
And the goal,
not pushing numbers forward at all.
The goal shows that as well from the penalty spot. And really, it was a deep cross. It was just basically an error from Josh Evans. It was a cross that was hit too heavy, and Josh Evans, in trying to just guide it over, has stuck out an arm and somehow got a hand to it. So that's the difference between the two sides. But Olympic marginally has been the better outfit.
Yeah, with Edgeworth sort of coming into the game the last, say, 5-10 minutes, they're starting to just lift the tempo a little bit. Had a few half sniffs.
Here's Bird over the top for Swan. Pat Wheeler is back there. kicks now for McLaughlin. Sanders has been kept relatively quiet. He scored a hat-trick in the FFA Cup, his first match here at Darling Street. So he had a great day in round 5 of the FFA Cup. He's been relatively quiet thus far. There's Daniel Bird, as he does, gives away the free kick. Coming in there on McBrain. Here's Bryce, steps inside Brown and looks for Sanders.
Well read by Hodges. He read that very well.
He's been great at the back. He started the season slowly, hasn't he, Kyle Hodges? Still hasn't scored yet for Olympic. Here's Aiden Bryce. Again, he goes deep with the throw.
Again, Sanders using his body very well.
Brain off the side of his boot. Now, don't go anywhere at half-time. CT is going to do an interview with Greg Rowe about the African boys coming across to Australia. So CT is going to have a chat in the half-time break. Reece Pappas now. He tries his luck from distance and it'll just go wide. Taking it on there. And it almost paid off. He saw Nate Cavalier off his line. So stoppage time now in the first half. Strap yourself in for the second half because there is plenty on the line. Hamilton Olympic. Not the favourites here by any stretch. Edgeworth tipped to get the job done, and it will be Olympic who will head to the sheds with a lead. So Damien Zane and the Eagles with some work to do at half-time. Kane Goodchild with a goal from the penalty spot after Josh Evans stuck out an arm on an Olympic cross, which was just heading a little too deep. Really came out of nowhere, but you can't say that Hamilton don't deserve their lead. Half time here at Darling Street Oval. Hamilton Olympic 1, leading the Edgeworth Eagles 0. And we are going to head down to the touchlines. Damien Smith is down there with Kyle Hodges. I think we should be good to head on down there.
Okay, we have Kyle Hodges, Hamilton Olympic captain, mate. Very tight first half. You guys just shading it a little bit. What are your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, doing excellent. Great start. I think the Swans are just dominating their midfield, just winning first and seconds, just scrapping, not giving the boys any time on the ball. Yeah, I think it's a simple game, yeah.
Yeah, I'm really liking your shape. Your 3-5-2 is really working, especially against a really tight diamond midfield.
Yep, yeah, I agree. When you get it at the back, you've got plenty of options to play out, and yeah, it's great. As long as you can keep it nice and narrow and tight, it works super.
All right, mate. Good luck for the second half.
Cheers.
Thanks, man. Back to you, Ben.
Yeah, we're going straight on. We might just wander. Come in, boys. Don't be shy.
Come on, guys. Let's go. Nobody's shy, eh?
Might just get Greg Lowe. You come out to the front, mate. So with us here on Bar TV is Greg Lowe. Greg's a former Nova Castrian, now living in South Africa. Greg was also, I coached Greg at Broadmeadow, and now Greg's, you're involved in the coaching in South Africa, yep?
Yes, correct. I'm the head of football for Football Academy Plus in South Africa. Myself and Claudio Lorenzani there, we run a high-performance program where we look to find the best talent across the country and provide them opportunities to be a professional.
This is a wonderful opportunity to bring, the children here to Australia. What does it mean to the children to be here?
Well, you can see on their faces, hey, there's determination here. There's a need and a want to succeed. So there's something that's going to get them all the way. So we're just looking to nurture that and make sure they get there.
And one of the differences, or one of the cultural differences, because it is a big thing, is since I've seen them here a couple of times, they do a lot of singing. Can you just explain what that's all about?
They do. A couple of voices aren't too good, but as a group, they're not too bad. So they love to just make themselves known, don't you, boys? Yeah.
And when you say making themselves known, is that something that's part of the culture, generally speaking? And what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so I'm sure a couple of boys can elaborate, but, you know, football is a professional and competitive game. So when you walk into a stadium, you have to make yourself known. You're going to make sure the opposition knows you're here to win.
And how about on the way out, maybe you can do some singing for us on Bar TV, yep?
I'm sure we can organise that, eh? No problem.
All right, well, thanks very much for coming along, and welcome to Australia, and we really hope you enjoy your stay here. Thanks, all the best.
Thank you, CT. Appreciate your time.
Thank you. And that's going to tie us off for half-time, and we'll see you in the second half. Cheers.
Tumela,
So the second half just about to get back underway here at Darling Street Oval. Hamilton Olympic via that man who is about to kick off for them, Kane Goodchild, with the goal for them. So it's Olympic from left to right of screen in the blue. Edgeworth from right to left. James Cleal to get us back underway. Damien Smith and Chris Turner have both had a chat to Michael Bulch and Damien Zane at half-time to see what they said to the troops as the final 45 minutes awaits us here at Darling Street. Can Edgeworth find something in this second half? And of late, it's been Hamilton who have been so dominant in their second 45 minutes. Can Olympic pull off another strong result? Can they make it 3 wins in a row, CT?
I think they can if they, depending on what Edgeworth have changed at half-time, but if nothing changes and it continues the way that they were, I didn't see many chances come out of Edgeworth in that first half. And I saw an Olympic side with a great defensive setup and were able to attack in numbers as well, Smudge.
Yeah, I don't know. It depends on their legs, I reckon. You've got the two Matt and Andrew Swan in the centre of the park have been superb for me. It depends on how they can run out 90 minutes for me. As you know, Edgeworth in the final 15 minutes tend to dominate. They're very fit. They tend to run over sides, which is what Olympics done in the past few weeks as well. They've done the Houdini Act. But, yeah, I think the first 15 minutes is very important for both sides and also the last 15 minutes.
Yeah, you would be foolish to think that Edgeworth aren't going to be in this game in the second half, that's for sure. But I definitely like the way that Olympic have set up. We spoke in the first half about a 5-3-2, and Bulchie says it like that as opposed to a 3-5-2, and how that mindset for the players is that they're defensively set before they attack, and you can see that, and they look organised in their structure.
Yeah, talking to Damien Zane at half-time, yeah, he was a bit disappointed in the first half. He thought it lacked a little bit of enthusiasm, a little bit of energy. But he also said, you know what, the turnover was way too high. So he wants the boys to get back to two-touch and get the ball moving quicker. For Olympic, like Bolcher was quite happy with the first half, obviously leading against the team on top of the table.
Here's maybe a chance for the Eagles. Sanders has gone down off the ball. I didn't see that. We might have a look at it on replay. Just went to ground, got a little bit of a bump. James Cleal saw it all. So here it is. You can see that bright board in the background. Sanders just given a bump by Davies.
Just looked like he caught the back of his leg. It didn't look anything intentional.
Keanu Moore was on goal then, one-on-one with Hodges. I was surprised he didn't let it go. I suppose, and Hodges did well just to hold his ground. He sort of made Keanu Moore veer to the right-hand side of the goal, which was well defended. It's a dangerous situation, CT.
So here he is, Bazzari to the middle. And Davies with the header away. And clearance away from Swan. And now Reece Cooper. Grant Brown shut down there by Aidan Price. That's what we're saying. Olympic really good for the opening 35 minutes, and then Edgeworth slowly ground their way back into the contest without creating any real golden opportunities, but they were just getting themselves a little more on the ball, weren't they?
Yeah, they definitely lifted the tempo a little bit. They started getting some threatening situations without having too many clear-cut chances, but yeah, you never write off Edgeworth.
It's Grant Brown. Infield for Goodchild. Bazzari up and over the top for Sanders, but it just bounced up nicely for Davies. McBrain distributes wide for Aaron McLaughlin.
I still think Edgeworth need to play with a bit more width. It's just so narrow, it's so congested.
Evans pushes forward and unleashes a strike, which is well saved in the end by Tyler Warren. He scored his first goal in a couple of seasons. Last weekend against the Jets youth, Josh Evans, he was trying to make it 2 in 2 weeks. This man has scored twice in the last 2 weeks. Reece Cooper, now it's Daniel Bird. Bird with just the 1 goal this season.
Well played by Goodchild.
Last year he scored 5 for Hamilton. It's Goodchild. Just controls, and he was looking for another penalty. The Olympic fans went up, but James Cleal
Looked like he got dragged back a little bit. Probably not. Yeah, I don't know. That would have been a tough decision. CT.
Yeah, absolutely. He was claiming he was held, and he was
probably slightly held, but Nothing too drastic, I thought.
Yeah, Swan going back to Hodges. Speaking of goals this season, we've spoken about how it seems a little down on last year. Well, I've had a look, and it is a little down on last year. So, 2016, there was 344 goals in 90 matches. Now, Smudge, before you say, well, there's more games this year, I've made sure of that. This year, up to this point, they've played 89 games, so almost exactly the same. After these two this afternoon, it'll be 91. And there's been 300 goals. So what have we got? A goal here, a goal at Magic. So we're about 40 goals down.
But you know what?
At the same point.
The quality of goals this year have been superb for me.
And that's what we're saying. We think the quality has gone up. Defences have been a lot better. And in saying that, you could say, well, attack's worse. But I think defensively, sides are a lot stronger this year than they were last season. As Marcus Duncan lets it run over for a goal kick.
Agree. And the other thing is, it's all about 3 points. Sides are sort of going and getting their 3 points, walking off the pitch, rather than absolutely annihilating. You haven't seen. There's been a few big scores, mainly against Magic, really.
We had the 7-0 against Magic, 6-0 Edgeworth against Adamstown. Apart from that, I can't really think of any. We had 6-1 Maitland over Jets Youth.
And it brings to mind that comment that Bolchi had to say earlier in the year. I think Bart went something along the lines of he'd rather attack and get the 3 rather than just pick up a 1 point for a draw and risk the loss. Was that about what he was saying?
He was, after what happened last season to them, where they won 12, drew 6 and finished second. The only side in Northern New South Wales top grade history that I could find in my hours of research that had not lost a match the whole season and
undefeated.
finished second.
Yeah,
so here's Kieran Sanders trying to find a route back for Edgeworth. Hodges, that's that wind from the south, so behind Edgeworth in their second half, just blowing it back towards Tyler Warren, who looks and tries to find Damien Zane on the bench for Edgeworth.
No, Tyler Warren very well, and I know that kick very well. He sometimes gets it on the outside of his boot and skews off him, and he doesn't like it. So don't expect the next one to come out.
And Damien Zane, back in his heyday, would have controlled that nicely off the chest, wouldn't have he?
He'd control it
brought
now,
it
no
down
dramas.
Beautifully.
he was a good player, Damien Zane, back in the day. Probably wasn't as big as what he is now, but he's mobile, good on the ball.
Played actually in a grand final with Pat Wheeler, who's the centre back in 2010, I believe it was. Yep.
I watched that game and he should have got married.
No, actually played alongside Damien Zane. Wheeler left the Eagles in 2010 to go over to the US, so there you go. Did play alongside Damien Zane.
I did watch that game, and I know a guy called Shane Knight got man of the match, but I would have picked Damien Zane, actually. He was superb that game.
Yeah, that was the last year Edgeworth won the premiership, before the grand final, before Zane came to the club in 2015. As Holt, Swan, some strong challenges, just gets a little heated. And the ground just tearing up a little bit, which is surprising because it's been pretty dry the last couple of weeks. We've had a little bit of rain every now and then.
I think it's tearing up because of the amount of power and kilograms that were going through those last 4 or 5 tackles. They were, right in front of us. There were some pretty heavy challenges going on, Smudge.
Here's Evans almost playing it over the sideline. Aiden Bryce has a bit of a slip. And what a ball that is to McBrain, who flicks it on. Sanders goes down. And a handball against him. Well, just a few players losing their footing at the moment.
You know what? These physical challenges are starting to pep Edgeworth up, actually. It's probably a good thing for Edgeworth. They're just starting to get a bit more physical, get a bit more tempo in the game, a bit more energy about them.
A little bit fired up as well.
Yeah, they were a bit flat in the first half.
So the energy just coming about this match after a first half which was a little dour. The intensity was there, but it was a little dour. Both sides couldn't really breach each other's defences apart from a penalty from Kane Goodchild, which really came out of nowhere, as we mentioned. This is the throw from Bryce. Pappas now. Wants to go up the line. Here's Josh Evans. Steps away from Goodchild. Squares it up to McBrain, who comes into Hodges. Again, he's been one of the best players on the park, and McBrain is going to Receive a yellow card there for the challenge on Hodges, and Olympic are going to have to bring that back. We've got our sports click man of the match, Smudge.
Yes, we sure do. CT?
Yeah, look, at the moment, if I had to go at this minute of the game, knowing there's a long way to go, I'd be looking at Kyle Hodges, and the reason being is because his defensive efforts so far and his organisation, apart from what he does on the ball, off the ball anyway, his defensive efforts in his organisation have kept what is a change of formation in a 5-3-2 in order. And I like the way that he's continually in charge of his back line. When you've got players like McBreen and Sanders running at you, and you're confidently in holding the position of your back line together, that says a mark of a guy that's in good form, and he's certainly doing that at the moment.
He's got what looks to be the start of a beard there. Kyle Hodges as well, CT.
I'd say stubble for Kyle. Yeah.
Does that improve performance?
So just
Does that improve?
Sorry. It's great being in the new gear, Bart. The Sports Click and Puma gear. I'd like to thank
Joel Grinnell.
Yep, for that.
Yeah, Joel Grinnell doing a great job, and might be joining us a bit later. Here's Swan going wide for Goodchild. Down to the corner. And Pat Wheeler knocks it up the line to Dylan Holt. Yeah, his side, Lambton, with a draw yesterday with Charlestown. And a ton of injuries for them as well out of that match. We'll be speaking about that match on the midweek show on Thursday, 7 p.m. A few things to dissect. As Bird, strong challenge from Bazari. And, well, Bazari's lost his footing in a big way.
But challenge, quickly, it looks like we're being surrounded by a bunch of little smudges.
I know, I can normally not handle one of him. And now we've got...
Now it's just materialised into four of him.
Yeah, I know.
The boys love their soccer, so probably their first game they've been to, actually. Oh.
There's Swan ridden into the back by Brodie Taylor. Got a little bit of noise out of the crowd.
Yeah, young Hudson was just trying to eat the mic. Who's coming up again, is he?
So we've got Ivy, Hudson and Hugo.
Which one's the best, Smudge?
All equal, mate, obviously. Depending on what day it is, mate. But, yeah, all equal, obviously.
I was hoping you'd say one of them, and then in 20 years' time, we'll get this back.
Oh,
Here's Pappas and Cavalier. Somehow off the line, Marcus Duncan can't keep his shot down. Well, somehow, I find it hard to believe that Edgeworth is still only a goal down after all of that. Here it was from Reece Pappas. Curled in, good shot with a boot to it. And Duncan sprays his shot wide. Will that come back to haunt Hamilton Olympic? But what a move from Michael Bulch to push Reece Cooper up to the front. He's been very, very, very strong.
Oh, he's a very good attacking player, Bart, as you know, and he can play in behind as a number 10. He can play a wider role, and he can play striker. So
here's Brodie
he's
Taylor
very good player.
To Evans. We mentioned 2 goals in his last 2. Reece Cooper.
Just on the Smith boy, on the Swan boys, sorry.
Yes.
Their positional play has been superb in the 6 and 8 role.
Here's Brodie Taylor. He's looking for McBreen, who controls and goes back. Olympic fans thinking there was a nudge in the back of Daniel Bird.
Well, it looked to me like there was, and I'm sure that Bird thought the same.
The only man that didn't, James Cleal out there, who's had a very good game. Great decision for the penalty.
Oh.
As Hodges and Swan, and McBreen in there as well. It was a clash of legs and bodies. And hopefully everyone's come out unscathed after all of that. McBreen got a bit of a limp. Might have a look at it. Here it is. Swan coming through.
Hey, boys, we're going to talk about the Harry Schnitzel Player of the Day shortly.
Oh, I love Harry Schnitzel. As you know, my favourite. What's my favourite, CT?
It's the
famous.
Yeah, with that. What do you don't have? You don't have
the
Schnitzel?
Cucumber. The
yeah.
cucumber.
Don't have Schnitzel. Yeah. You don't have your cucumber.
And have a little sweet chilli sauce on the side.
Well,
Yeah, the player of the day. We got a
I've
player of the day yet?
To be honest.
Well, here's Dylan Holtz. We may have to come back to that, and we'll come back to that now, CT.
The South African footballers with their halftime singing was
that's
absolute top shelf. And you know what? I'm not sure. They've probably got Subway in... Subway. Sorry, H.
What are you saying?
I'm sure they've got...
Here's
Subway
Bryce,
in
it
South
deflects.
Africa.
There's Kyle Hodges putting his body on the line. We'll come back to CT's faux pas there.
Yeah,
Gee whiz.
Now, what I was going to say, I'm sure they've got Subway in South Africa, but they wouldn't have Harry Schnitties. So I'm sure... I don't know how you split it 42 ways, but I'm sure they'll work it out if they get that award.
Yeah, Greg Lowe can maybe work out that one. There's Keanu Moore. There's Aiden Bryce now. Now to Sanders, who can't flick it infield. So it's less than half an hour now for Edgeworth to find something. We've said Olympic are the comeback kings this year. It's going to have to be Edgeworth this afternoon if they're to get anything out of this one. Josh Evans. And while they are ahead with games in hand as McLaughlin across to McBrain, they've got 2 matches in hand on Lambton, who they're level with on points at the top of the ladder, Edgeworth. And defeat this afternoon, they'll still have a game in hand. So they'll still have the ascendancy in the race for the minor premiership and the spot in the NPL final series, which they played in last year and the year before. Cooper gets muscled off the ball by Holtz illegally.
I think Olympic needed that little break in play because Edgeworth were just starting to claw them way back and get on top, weren't they, CT?
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes, we speak every week about momentum. It's good to be able to slow things down when a side like Edgeworth starts to get a bit of a roll on.
It's a bit sloppy there by Bird. Kyle Hodges, he has been immense for me.
Now, Edgeworth have got Bren, Hammer, Wilbauer and Adam Corley on the bench, so that is a strong...
All attacking plays too.
Strong bench to go to, just the 3 and Kai Abrams, the backup goalkeeper. So, no, none as yet. Here's Bryce. Can hit a ball. And it's a corner kick. Hamilton Olympic, they've got Scott Smith, so the attacking option. Cody Lucas, defensive. Tom Cox is the youngster from the under-20s to come in as well. And Daniel Eisenhower, the backup goalkeeper. Luke Rutledge as well. So they've got some options too. Sanders away.
Yeah, for me, but I mentioned the first half. Oh, we're making a sub here already, Adam Corley.
So who will be... Dylan Holtz it is.
I think it's a good move by Damien Zane. Adam Corley is the type of guy who will run in beyond the back 4. So the same with Dylan Holtz, but I think he just might bring that spark that Edgeworth need at the moment. They have been a little bit flat today.
There's the diminutive former Jets youth player, Brodie Taylor. And Grant Brown puts his body on the line. Olympic just doing those 1%ers very well this afternoon. This one skews off the side of the boot. Daniel Bird is up the line. He's had a bit of a haircut as well, Adam Corley. Reece Cooper cuts infield, gets clipped by McLaughlin, and it will be a card. It had to be, really.
Had to be a card. He's in a great position there, Reece Cooper. That's where he's good at, running at players.
You give the thumbs up to Mick Bulch for bringing him up the ground into the front line.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I like him as a number 10 because he runs in beyond, but you can use him as a striker, get him dropping deep in the pockets, turning, and then running beyond. What McBreen does very well for Edgeworth.
So Reese Pappas goes towards the back post where Josh Evans is. And Keanu Moore glides across the park. Bazari back for Evans. And now for Sanders. Just holds the ball up, Sanders, and across to Evans, who had all the time in the world to go back to Aiden Bryce. And now Sanders with the back heel.
Edgeworth's definitely starting to claw their way into this game, aren't they?
Now, Bren Hamill actually set up Kieran Sanders' opening goal in that FFA Cup match against Hamilton Olympic. So here at Darling Street, he's on the bench, so Expect to see him this afternoon as well. See if he can have an impact down that right side. There he is with the bib on. Grant Brown. Now with Daniel Bird. Swerving in between a couple, and now Wheeler. Reese Pappas. Going to go across goal for Goodchild. Bazari. Now to Brodie Taylor. It's a long-ranging, raking pass across to Kieran Sanders. Via the head of Daniel Bird. Corley back to Sanders.
I think it's going to be a great defensive effort if Olympic can keep Edgeworth out for this second half.
They haven't been held scoreless, Edgeworth, since that match against Lambton where they were beaten 2-0 just before the FFA Cup weekend.
Well defended by Swan.
That was in round 12, and Swan goes down like he was shot, and he gets back up. So Josh Evans pushing forward again. Hasn't been afraid to get up the ground this afternoon on the smaller pitch.
Yeah, it's well played, well defended.
Reese Pappas, here it is wide for Cooper, but the pass too much angle on it and across the touchline.
I said for me, Edgeworth, I think they need to play with a bit more width, spread the game. It's so congested in the centre of the park. There's 9 players in the centre of the park there, ACT.
Yeah, there is, and I think that when you mentioned about the defensive effort, that helps Olympic if there are numbers in there, because when it's more congested, obviously it's harder to play. So that's not going to worry Olympic too much if Edgeworth is sitting fairly compact.
Yeah, exactly.
There's Bird, just couldn't keep the ball inside the line. A little bit of a lull in the atmosphere here at Darling Street. The crowd just waiting for something to happen.
And now you're looking at Grant Brown, who's the left wing back for Olympic. He's actually playing like a left fullback, isn't he? So they're really clogging this back line up, playing 5 at the back.
And again, we've mentioned it before, but that's the mentality about playing 5 at the back and not 3, and that's his job. He's meant to be there. So he's doing exactly what he's supposed to be doing right now.
Bazari steps away from Pappas, and Swan, he may have chopped an elbow here from Andrew Swan. Bit of an accident.
Yeah, a bit of an accident.
His brother Matt Swan came in and took him down. I'll say it again, Smudge. 67 minutes gone as we see Bazari just get collected. 67 minutes gone, and still Edgeworth haven't created a real clear-cut goal-scoring chance, have they?
Because it's been so congested.
They do so here. No, they can't.
What they did well at FFA Cup game when they tore Olympic apart was they used the width. They're playing some nice 1-2s through the centre, then getting high and wide with Brent Hemmel overlapping. Yeah, John Bazara on the left overlapping. Today, like CT, you've got to back me up here, it's so congested in the centre of the park. Looks like Don Bazari's got a bit of blood coming from the nose, from the stray elbow.
Yeah, you're right, Smudge. It is congested, and it's a small park as well. So when you combine the two, you actually have a look where the players are right now. They're playing in a very, very small area. If you draw a rectangle around them right now, you'd be surprised what a small area they're playing in. And typically, that's not uncommon throughout what's going on. And it's, as I said before, this suits Olympic because they want it to be as compact as possible defensively.
I totally agree with that, yeah.
So, Smudge, is it credit to Olympic for making Edgeworth play in these tight, compact spaces?
100%.
Because I'm surprised why Edgeworth are playing so narrow when they did so well with width in that match in the FFA Cup.
Now, what Edgeworth could do right now is they could stretch people, push them physically out to the other side of the park and create a great opportunity for switch because it's on.
Well defended.
So the question to ask is, Smudge, why are they not playing with width, Edgeworth?
Well, they're playing like a really tight dom in the centre, so therefore you want the right and left fullbacks overlapping. To me, they haven't been overlapping enough today. If I was Zane, I'd probably break it up for the last final 15, 20 minutes. Maybe play 3 up front. Ooh.
Swan, he's evaded 2 and 3 sliding challenges. And then is brought down by Brodie Taylor.
Because when you went with a three-prong attack with two high wide fellas, that means your right and left wing-backs will probably be dropping back deep. Therefore, they'll outnumber Olympic in the middle of the park, and they'll have more space. At the moment, it's just, for me, it's just going into Olympic's hands, as we said, about the space. It's so congested.
One back for Bird. Daniel McBreen lost his footing in the centre circle just a moment ago.
And the thing with Damien Zane's sides, they can adapt to any formation at the drop of a hat. They've got the cattle to do it. Zane coaches like the different styles of training, so they're all accustomed to it. So I wouldn't be surprised because the game's sort of going into Olympic's hands at the moment. But
Brodie Taylor, that was Marcus Duncan who just picked his pocket. Taylor on the turn.
But in saying that, I think Edgeworth's just starting to lift the tempo now. They're just starting to play their little nice triangles, aren't they, CT?
Yeah, and the other thing is, you look at the general passage of play. It's been down, in their attacking end.
Here's Bryce curling it in. Brodie Taylor and
great run,
straight at Tyler Warren. So there's Edgeworth's first real opportunity this afternoon.
But
it
even
was
so,
the man who has scored in each of his last 3 matches.
There was definitely an opportunity, but also he had pressure on him as well, so it wasn't like totally clear cut, which normally they have like 5-6 clear cut chances every game.
And if it's taken to the 70th minute to get their first opportunity on goal, that just is a testament to the Olympic defence.
Agree. Their defensive unit, especially the Swan boys playing the 6 and 8 role.
Brodie Taylor now to Corley.
Here you want Aaron McLaughlin getting high and wide, a little bit quicker. And Bryce, high and wide.
Here is Aiden Bryce. Pushing forward. Infield he goes to Keanu Moore, so it's just Edgeworth getting themselves back on top in this one. McLaughlin threads it through for Keanu Moore. Just some space opening up. Keanu Moore tries to touch it back infield for McLaughlin.
Bird did very well then.
Having nowhere to go there is clever play for him so that they can just get themselves reset again, get a goal kick out and just shift the passage of play down the park and just take a little bit of the pressure off. You can see that we can see how busy it is in the middle of the park there, Smudge, and what we're seeing now is just working well for Olympic in that passage where it just simply is tight. Have a look at the numbers now. Have a look. They're sitting in virtually less than a quarter of the pitch, and all players virtually on this side of the park. Bryce needs to get himself wide in the right now because there's no one within 2 kilometres of him, and the switch is on. So this is where Edgeworth can open the game back up, Smudge.
Oh, I totally agree, CT.
So Brent Hamill is going to head out onto the pitch in just a couple of minutes. Damien Zane readying him. Here's Aaron McLaughlin. Probably the next stoppage now. McLaughlin now to Moore. So Corley. Now back for Bazari. Across the ground he goes to Aiden Bryce.
Great ball.
Whips it in quickly. McBreen there and Hodges. And all of a sudden Edgeworth are knocking again.
Oh,
and now a poor ball back for Corley. McBreen quickly into action as well. Taylor can't keep his shot down.
Now I think that ball came in from Bryce. And what a ball in that was, and I would have expected McBreen, almost on any day of the week to get something onto that one. So maybe he just didn't see it or it just came a bit late for him, not quite sure.
So Keanu Moore is the man brought off for Edgeworth. And Brent Hamill is on.
So it looks
and
like
a goal at Magic Park. James Virgili has made it 2-0. So that would wrap up the points for Magic there.
Yeah, you'd think so. But just looking at that swap, it looks like McBreen's moved up front where Keanu Moore was. Brodie Taylor's moved into the number 10 role where McBreen was, and Brent Hamill's gone to the right-hand side of the triangle of the diamond. Brent Hamill tends to play a bit more wide as well naturally, so that might assist him in spreading the game a little bit more.
He definitely does, but if the instruction is to play on the right side of the diamond, you can't let your midfield defensive duty go, and that's where your right fullback is going to come into play. So if you're going to sit inside, you need your right fullback overlapping and getting into the game that way. So it'll be interesting to see what the instruction was there, Smudge.
And I said before, he set up Kieran Sanders' goal here in the FFA Cup. And it was him wide on the right, whipping a ball in to Sanders, who finished in the middle. Here's McBrain. He just ran past him. Cooper and McLaughlin in there. It was an important challenge to win for Aaron McLaughlin, but seems Edgeworth.
See Swan there, just ran across Brodie Taylor. That was well done. Always going to get the foul.
So final 15 minutes now. Hamilton this season, 10 goals scored. They've conceded 2. Edgeworth have scored 4, conceded none.
I said at the start of the show, boys, I think for Olympic they need to be disciplined in defence. They have been superb today. Discipline. The final 15 minutes is going to be the key for both sides.
So often this season it's been Olympic who have fought back from being in behind. This week they're in a different situation.
A lot of people lost their footing, haven't they? Especially in the second half.
Yeah, the pitch does seem a little damp, which is surprising considering the lack of rain we've had of late. Brent Hamill wins the free kick. They've just been frustrated this afternoon, haven't they? Edgeworth.
So far, but I mean, they have certainly in the last 15-20 minutes they've been definitely putting the pressure on Olympic. I've got the feeling that both Swan brothers, particularly number 7 Swan, will sleep well tonight.
Who's that one?
I'm not sure, but don't laugh too much because I was just talking to Scott Smith at half time, so he's known them since he was 12 and still can't tell them apart.
Here's the long throw, Tyler Warren. In the end, it was one of the Swan boys who cleared the danger. Adam Corley turns on a dime. Now Sanders. Crowd holds its breath. Sanders across the face. And Swan away.
I don't want to talk too well. We're talking about Harry Snitzel's player of the day, and I mentioned the Bart. We're just having a chat at half time. For me, I'd probably nominate. I don't want to talk too early.
Aiden Bryce picks the pocket of Kane Goodshaw. You're going to have to tell us now, Smudge. Here's Brent Hamill. Here it is. Another ball in. McBrain was just not quite low enough.
You know what? What a great challenge by Tom Davies. Just knocked him off his balance, and there's a sub here, Bart, and then I'll tell you.
And it is that man, Scott Smith, who we were just talking about. Is it Kane Goodchild?
He's been busy again, Kane Goodchild. He's always a menace with the ball at his feet. Always looks dangerous.
It is the goal scorer, taking his time for a nice leisurely stroll off Darling Street Oval.
Well-earned rest.
Yeah, he's put in a good effort this afternoon, Goody.
And scored 2 pens.
Yeah, he scored 2 pens, and you can see the crowd here appreciates his efforts. He's a genuine footballer.
And if you're wondering why Smudger said he scored 2 penalties, if you missed it earlier, he scored his first penalty and then had to retake it and put the second one away for good measure.
And Cavalier nearly got he got a hand to the second one, but the power just got past him.
He did, and then the penalty came after an Olympic free kick from the right, curled in, and Josh Evans just stuck out an arm, and the penalty was given. The ball was going way over the byline. Hit too deep and fortuitous in the end for Hamilton, but they deserved it after the opening half they showed.
Kyle Hodges' positional play has been superb. The centre of the back three. Great ball.
Well, Scott Smith looking for Reece Cooper. If he can score here.
Pat Weller, what a defender. He's been brilliant this year.
Brent Hamill with a flick on. Marcus Duncan.
So just going back to my Harry Snitty's nomination, I was going to say Mick Bolch for his Houdini acts for the last 3 weeks, if they get the result today.
McBrain wide for Hamill.
Just doing his job, Smudge.
So this is the stat.
True.
This is a fascinating stat, is that Edgeworth haven't won in a regular season match here since 2011. They've won 2 FFA Cup matches this year and a couple of seasons ago here against Hamilton. Haven't won a regular season match. It just shows you the cup. They haven't lost here at Darling Street, but in the regular season they haven't had the same luck. Here's Bryce. And McLaughlin, has he been pulled down?
I think they ran into each other, but the ball was going out for my liking.
I thought there wasn't much in it there. We'll have a look at the replay. It was Aiden Bryce's ball in. Been a few dangerous balls from that side of the ground.
Yeah, I'd like to see him a bit higher and wide. He's in too much and he's a bit too deep. I'd like to see him high and wide, curling the ball around. They're harder. They're sort of straight balls, aren't they, CT?
Yeah, and this is mostly a victim of the shape, I'd expect.
So still Will Bauer to go to for Damien Zane on the bench. And Hamilton have got a couple of changes left as Sanders gives away the free kick.
Yeah, Vols Hamilton, I probably wouldn't change too much at the moment. They're very well balanced. Obviously, Smith came on for Goodchild to get some fresh legs up front so they can be a bit more work in closing down. Goodchild's had a great game, or did have a great game.
I'd just be keeping an eye on Seven Swan. He looks to me he's had a big job this afternoon, and he's going to sleep well tonight. But I'd keep an eye on him. Other than that, as you say, Smudge, leave as is.
Well,
here's Smith looking inside for Cooper. Smith, he scored from this range. Here he goes again, Smith, and Edgeworth are able to scramble away via Smudge's favourite at the back, Pat Wheeler. Here's McBrain. He's got a bit of a man crush, I think.
No, I think he's been superb this year. Unsung hero for Edgeworth.
Here's Aiden Bryce speeding down the park. And now gets taken down by Swan. There's men who are on the ground everywhere. It's still Grant Brown down. Adam Corley tries his luck. And is that just a frustration from Edgeworth, him shooting from that kind of range? Does that show how good Hamilton have been?
Yeah, exactly. They've been rock solid at the back. What Edgeworth need to do is try and have a few link-up plays with their strikers, play a pass in, make a run beyond the back four, try and just create them little half chances, ACT, because at the moment, Olympic don't mind them shooting from range.
No, absolutely not. And you mentioned before they can change the shape, a drop of a hat. I'd be dropping my hat. I'd change it up now. You got 10 minutes, and I think that it's all too narrow, and they're just sitting Olympic down to the ground right now. But
I agree. I think they've got to change something. They've had They've had 2 chances in 80 minutes, 81 and a half minutes of football. I'd say that that would be a decision that I would take, but I'm not Damien Zane. So.
But boys, there's 10 minutes to go. Edgeworth aren't out of this game. They're a side who can score 2 goals in 10 minutes.
So we're just waiting. Grant Brown have to leave the park after that collision with Aiden Bryce. So boys, put it all on the line. What do you think? Do you think Olympic will hold on, or do you think Edgeworth will find a goal?
Look, I agree with Smudge. Edgeworth are never out of this game. It's only 1-0. If it was 4-0, you'd be thinking, they're home, but it's not. It's 1. Territorially, they've been better, Edgeworth. And the fact that they haven't created chances doesn't mean we're not going to see some. I think that Edgeworth are right in this. As I said before, for me, keep the shape the same for Olympic and keep your eye on Seven Swan, because he, at the moment, he looks...
Matt Swan, yeah.
Thanks, Matt
Brodie
Swan.
Taylor over the top. Is this the split second thereafter?
Offside.
No, it isn't. Kieran Sanders is offside. But Smudge, we actually said about 3 weeks ago now when Hamilton were playing Maitland and Maitland were winning 2-0, we were saying there is no way in the world Hamilton Olympic are going to score this afternoon.
The way the game was going. If you look at this, Edgeworth don't overly look like scoring, but you can't discount that because...
Yeah, exactly. And then Olympic scored 2 goals. So 3-0 Broadmeadow Magic. They're just rubbing it in there at Magic Park now. The table... I don't want to speak too early, but live ladder, there's 5 sides within 3 points of each other.
That is great, isn't it?
Isn't it that awesome for the NPL? And next year, I think it's only going to get tighter. We know Western's going to improve. Charlestown have brought in some new players, as has been mentioned. Grant Brown, the latest here at Hamilton, to make the switch to Charlestown under Dave Tanchevsky next year. Here's Bazari winning the ball. Is this the split second they needed?
Well defended by Tom Davies. I'll tell you what, McBreen nearly got through there. Tom Davies just scraped his way through. This is a good change. Will Bauer, I don't mind this guy. This is a very attacking move. They're taking off left fullback.
So Will Bauer just explaining to Kieran Sanders.
Looks like they're pushing 3 up front.
That's what it seemed to me.
Or they're pushing McBreen, Sanders up front. They're going to go 3 at the back, obviously.
They're going to go for a... Looks to me like it's a 3-5-2 at the moment.
Yep.
Substitution for the Edgeworth side, number 18, Will Bauer.
Hamilton with the free kick.
Just on Magic winning 3, leading 3-0 at the moment. This is good for their for and against, because it might even come down to for and against
Yeah, round 22.
Yeah, oh.
The match of the round will be here at Darling Street, and it's Olympic and Magic. Saturday night, that match as well.
And you're away.
I'm potentially away because it's on Saturday night.
This one's got us nervous, Bart, to be honest.
Reece Pappas.
Talk about two Muppets on the couch. Get ready.
I know you two will be nervous, but I'll have to see. I don't know. We'll
Might
see.
be home.
Maybe. We'll just wait and see what happens as Aiden Bryce just pumps one long. Otherwise, it will be Smudge and Magic and could all turn. Imagine Magic scoring and Smudge commentating, CT.
I know. I'd have to
Bites here,
definitely,
mate.
but I just have to definitely get some rap on that. Maybe get some security as well.
Here's Smith, wide for Pappas.
Wheeler again.
Wheeler plays it straight to Cooper. He's got Smith in the middle. Pat Wheeler's there, but
Well recovered by Pat Wheeler.
He does get it under control. I thought it was a heavy touch, and Smith was going to get back on it. And all of a sudden, things look like they're going to turn out well for Edgeworth. But Olympic are back on the ball. It's been a tight affair. It's been a tense affair. Hasn't been the most eye-catching, but the effort.
This is where Edgeworth come good.
Has been there for all to see. Here's Bazzari. Wide he goes for Bauer. Davies does well, uses his body. Bauer goes to ground.
Davies done brilliantly there. He knew he was going to go on the outside. He's a left footer. That's a sign of a smart defender, knowing what the attacker's strength is. It's on his left. He loves to go on the left-hand side. He knew that. He read it and defended out for a goal kick. Well done by Tom Davies. If I was Bolchi, Daniel Bird, Grant Brown, I'd be just sitting in, blocking a big, nice back five here. You wouldn't want them pushing too high for the last five.
So Tyler Warren, up they rise. Cooper was a high boot.
It was away, wasn't
it?
It?
Free kick. Yeah, there were two Edgeworth players there. That's why there is no card. It'll just be the free kick. We'll just have a look. So here it is, boys.
Mate, you're in the road.
There it is. Yeah, it was a boot across the chest. Yeah, potentially could have been yellow there for Pat Wheeler.
What do you do here, CT? I know it's a few minutes out, but I'd run it to the corner.
Run it to the corner a few minutes out.
So 3 minutes to go.
As much as coaching tips, 101.
Part of the reason, and try and get a corner, because part of the reason, Edgeworth...
Pappas goes for goal. Cavalier takes it nicely.
Because they transition quick. Now, they've got 4 players up high. If they transition quick here, they can...
Now, don't mind your thinking. It's negative on the eye, but
it's all about 3 points, but...
Exactly. That's the thing.
So now Edgeworth's advanced quite well.
Here's McBrain. Bauer over the top for Sanders. Duncan did well to shield Tyler Warren. Duncan is injured here. This is going to play into Hamilton's hands.
Just looked like he clipped him. Sanders clipped him.
He made sure he didn't stay down for... Well, he's going to have to leave the park here. No, he's going to be all good. And Duncan just having a chat to James Cleal.
That's fair play by Edgeworth.
Yeah.
So looking at our Sports Click man of the match, CT, for me, you can't go past... I think the Swan boys have been brilliantly...
The Swan boys have been good, haven't they?
As
Smith goes up. There was definitely a handball from him. Play will go on. I think one of the Swan boys. What do you do?
Kyle Hodges has been brilliant, honestly. His leadership at the back has been absolutely superb for me.
And he hasn't made any errors in the game either that have been of any note. Even now, he's just calling instructions. He's pushing the boys around. They've changed his shape up, and he's been in control of it. Just quickly while we're on that, why did the cookie cry, Smudge?
Why did the cookie cry?
I thought we were going to get through without a joke.
I was hoping we were.
It's because his dad had been a wafer so long.
Oh, God.
Swan, a handball there, I felt.
Yeah, looked like he lost it in the sun, actually, Swan.
Here is Andrew Swan. Goes wide for Grant Brown. Brent Hamill will have to get on his bike.
Now, Harry Schnitzel Player of the Day, boys. I've nominated the South African visitors for their singing at halftime.
I've nominated Mick Bolch for his Houdini acts for the last 3 weeks, and the way he's made a few good changes today, changed up the side, changed up the shape, and I think they've been the best they've played all year, what I've seen so far.
So free kick for Hamilton.
My thing with these guys here, how are you going to split the Snitty in 42 ways, mate?
Oh, I did speak to Greg Lowe, and he.
I tell you what, it's a good marketing ploy for Harry, because if you give a free one, they're probably all going to go there and then buy one themselves.
Right. He'll sell 42 because there's 43 of them. That's all good news. And the other thing is, he's got a franchise opportunity in South Africa now.
There's Tyler Warren. CT, with you calling for that one. It just sits inside the field of play. And your Bird. Now Pappas.
And I'm keen for them to sing again.
So
we'll go with them for player of the day. Harry Snitzel, player of the day, Bart.
We're into stoppage time. I'll agree with that. So stoppage time here. Hamilton Olympic. Still with a 1-0 lead. Kane Goodchild from the penalty spot. That's all that separates the sides this afternoon. It has been such a tight match. I don't think I've seen such a tight contest as this so far this season. Bazari to Burt. Just a lack of chances. Both sides have cancelled each other out.
Yeah, I totally agree, Bart. I'll tell you what, if Olympic get a result here, which looks like they might, that's a massive result.
So 5 teams within 3 points will go over the live ladder. Well, not the live ladder, the actual ladder as soon as this one finishes up. Marcus Duncan, scramble back. Is it a back pass? Tyler Warren just double checking if it is. And we'll pick it up. He launches it long and over halfway. Smith brings it down. Brodie Taylor turns. Hasn't found the space he desires this afternoon. Is there a late sucker punch from Hamilton Olympic? Swan to Pappas. And it will be 3 wins in a row for Hamilton Olympic if they can win this one this afternoon. Here's a bit of push and shove. Aiden Bryce and Grant Brown with a bit of push and shove back down the ground. Got himself into a bit of trouble in the FFA Cup, Aiden Bryce, when he was given a red card. Nothing comes of that. Kieran Sanders. So they're going to go for the long throw. Aiden Bryce sprinting down to take it. Last chance saloon here for Edgeworth. Can they find one, Smudge?
I don't know. Knowing Edgeworth, I wouldn't put it past them.
They did a few weeks ago against Maitland. Here it is, whipped in. Duncan was up there. Pappas away. 2.5 minutes on the clock now.
That is a great clearance. He's cleared that way up the park.
Such a tight contest, Smudge.
Yeah, they need to be tight, Olympic.
Tight...
I think, to be fair, I think Olympic deserved it in the end, if they get up.
Price with the throw. McBrain skews away. Bazari and Corley. Here's the free kick to Edgeworth. Now, Moriyasu from this range, if he was out there, probably back him, but it'll be Bren Hamill, who scored from this range last year in the semi-final.
And we also saw Bren Hamill score, I think it was at South Cardiff, but not last year, the year before, from this range.
We did. From this same range, that was the game where the dog came on the field.
That's correct.
There's a memory for you. Yeah, so it's McBrain or Hamill. This would be
it's Hamill.
The steal of the season. Tyler Warren waits.
Oh.
Bauer and Davies. No, it's Bryson, Davies and Bird. We'll see if...
I don't think
we don't want to go to the replay just yet because the free kick, just a bit of a three-way tangle. McBrain runs over it. Hamill hits it. Hamill over the bar. So much pressure on that free kick. Just couldn't deliver there, Brent Hamill.
So, Bart, who are we nominating for our Sports Click Man of the Match?
I think Kyle Hodges.
Yeah, Kyle Hodges has been absolutely superb. The Swan boys have been brilliant. Actually, there hasn't been a bad player for Olympic. There's been some good performance for Edgeworth as well. But to me, Edgeworth just weren't. They were just probably had off their best.
Kyle Hodges already clapping. James Cleal about to stop his watch. He'll let play go on for a moment. Bryce prods this one forward. Cramper did well in a sticky situation.
Very well, didn't he?
Cavalier clears it up the ground. Still a bit of stoppage time. We've had a bit of stoppage time of late in the competition as Bird goes to ground. Sanders.
So he's going to Sanders the yellow for about 3 different challenges. Just a little nudge. They should really soak up time here, Hamilton. Tell you what, if they get the result, that's a superb effort. They've done the Houdini act for the last 3 weeks, haven't they, Bart?
And Damien Zane was right. They've flown under the radar. They have flown so far under the radar, Hamilton Olympic.
Today's the best I've seen them play for quite a while, actually.
Reece Pappas looks wide to Reece Cooper. Evans now back. Bauer and Corley. Bazari. And now here's Aiden Bryce. And that is all she wrote. Hamilton Olympic with a huge victory over Edgeworth this afternoon. And Olympic bring out their best against the Eagles once more. And they begin to knock on the door of the minor premiership. They sit just 2 points. Yes, 2 points behind Edgeworth. And it just got a whole lot tighter at the top. What a result for Hamilton. For Edgeworth, they'll be disappointed they couldn't extend their lead at the top of the ladder. But they still have a game in hand on Lambton. So the minor premiership is still theirs to lose from this point. They've played the same amount of matches as Hamilton Olympic. So a 2-point lead they have still got there. Full time here at Darling Street Oval. Hamilton Olympic 1, Edgeworth Eagles 0. And we're going to grab some interviews, some reaction post-game. But before we do that, just going to run through the ladder. 5 teams now within 3 points. Going to head into the sheds for the team song for Hamilton Olympic. So Edgeworth 33, they've played 16. Lambton 33, they've played 17. Valentine, they've also played 17. They're on 32. Olympic, they've played 16-31. So Olympic with a win will go. If Edgeworth win their next match, an Olympic win as well, they'll be 1-2 again. Can you believe it after the season that it's been perceived that Olympic have had? They've spluttered and haven't performed as well as they would like. We've got CT. He's down with Greg Lowe.
What a great game of football that was, very entertaining. And we do a Harry Schnitzel play of the day. We could not go past our South African visitors with their singing, their presence here, and they've really added to the atmosphere this afternoon. Great glow to have the footballers here in Australia, and we've spoke at half-time, but we really enjoy their singing and their atmosphere they bring. Congratulations. Thanks for bringing them to Australia, and we've only got one voucher. You'll have to work that out.
We'll find a boy for this. Thank you so much for having us, and let's hope some boys can stay here and play some football.
Yeah, well, they're very, very welcome here in Australia, and it's great to see them.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks to CT there. We're going to head into the tunnel here for the team song for Hamilton. So Broadmeadow on that ladder. So we've got Edgeworth, Lambton, Valentine, Olympic in the top 4. Magic just a point outside on 30 points. Maitland, they are on 25 points. They've still got a match in hand on Magic, but they're 5 points back. So next weekend against Lake Macquarie, that's a must-win for them. If they win their last 4, that brings them up to 37 points, which you'd say they'd be unlucky not to make the 4 if they are on 37 points, Maitland. So it will be a fascinating run in the last 4 rounds of the season. Very fascinating with that result this afternoon. But Edgeworth still, we mentioned that minor premiership, theirs to lose. All right, we'll head into the sheds. Hamilton Olympic.
Olympic boys are made of gold! Olympic boys are made of gold! Play the game with skill and speed! Play the game with skill and speed! Help each other win in need! Help each other win in need! We are the boys in blue and white! We are the boys in blue and white! Olympic boys are dynamite! Olympic boys are dynamite! We don't care what Edgy says! We don't care what Edgy says!
Yeah, today we've got here as our Sports Click Puma man of the match, Kyle Hodges. Hodgie, well done, mate. You obviously changed your shape up a little bit.
The last 2 or 3 weeks we've gone to 3 at the back, and it's paid dividends. We've killed it.
Yeah, you personally, it looked like you played a great game, but you also had your team very, very organised. You didn't stop talking. How important is it for your left and right-sided fullbacks to stay in compact and defence?
As long as you sort of keep, if we're attacking down the right side, keep the left side in. Yeah, that's the main thing. As long as we've got that 4 at the back all the time, it works out well. So it's all about just sliding and working together. So Matt and Andrew Swan absolutely killed it in the midfield. So they set the platform. Yeah,
I was going to say, those two guys in front of you, I can't tell them apart. I don't know who's who, but they both did Seven Swan in particular. He was very, very busy for me.
They were everywhere. McBreen and the other boy in the midfield didn't get a touch on the ball. They getting frustrated, and that's what the Swans do best. They just hassle and Yeah,
and it seemed like Edgeworth were playing like a 4 in the middle, like a diamond shape in the middle. You guys playing with 5 effectively across the middle of the park in attack. How did that set you guys?
Yeah, it worked well. I didn't think they had too much room in the midfield at the start. Second half, they ran over the top of us, but that was just us defending our lead, so that's going to happen.
Well, mate, you are in terrific form personally, and keep your run and charge towards the semis.
Thank you. Cheers to Joel. Thank you.
Cheers. I'll get you over to Damien Smith, and we've got some visitors coming doing a random. We're absolutely loving this. This is great news, and I love seeing Michael Bolcher's team get invaded.
Can you hear me? I have Michael Bolch, Hamilton Olympic head coach, winning coach today, Michael Bolch. What a great game, great victory.
Oh, look, the boys did really well. That's our best 90 minutes of the year. I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me, but great atmosphere. Boys have from South Africa. Been a great match. But look, Edgeworth's the benchmark. We knew it would be a 90-minute game. Keep a clean sheet against them. Yeah, brilliant. I think, look, everyone's talking about Edgeworth and Magic and Jaffers. I think we've lost one of our last 13 games. Haven't been playing great football, but look, to take 3 points against Edgeworth today,
Yeah, mate, hopefully you can hear me as well, but we said in the call, playing a 5 at the back was superb today. Leadership by Kyle Hodges was tremendous, and Matt and Andrew Swan screen, the back 5 was superb.
Oh, look, we worked on it during the week. Swan boys win a lot of ball in there. They keep a lot of structure, really disciplined. They broke up that much of Edgeworth's attack in the first half. And Kyle, great organising at the back.
And what does this win mean to you in the club?
I lost it, sorry, mate.
What does the win mean to you in the club for the top 4 aspirations, even premiership aspirations?
Oh, look, that puts us 2 points off the lead. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, we were looking at maybe not making the 4. To beat Edgy all 3 grades, I think 6-1 18s, 5-1 20s, and then first grade. Yep. Great day for the club.
And just lastly, Western next week, what are your thoughts?
Oh, a whole new ball game.
Yep.
Steve was here watching today, Pigo. I'm sure he'll take a few things out of that. It's always a battle up there. Doesn't matter where they are on the table. Yeah. It'll be a battle.
All right, Balti, congratulations, and hopefully people heard us.
Cheers. Thanks, Dave. See you, mate.
See you, mate.
All right, Smudge. Can you hear me?
Only just. It's loud.
Now, next weekend we are heading to Macquarie Field, Lake Macquarie up against Maitland. It's Old Boys Day for the Roosters. Your thoughts, CT?
Look, so I don't even know who's playing, Lake Macquarie and who?
Maitland.
Oh, well, there's 2 teams that I'm close to, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm just loving the atmosphere in this dressing room at the moment, but it'll be a cracking game, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I'll tell you what, we've picked the right spot here because the showers are right behind us, so if there's any nudity, we apologise in advance. Well, we're going to wrap it up from in here. Smudge starts dancing. We will see you next week on Thursday for the NPL show. Full time here at Darling Street Oval. Hamilton Olympic 1, Edgeworth Eagles 0.